Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, we've heard the rumors before, but they might be real this time.
So we have a native son returning this weekend to the A. So the question is, will he walk away from the A with a dub, or will the home team get it? We got somebody to talk and download about that with you today.
And guess what? I don't normally call people heroes, but this guy definitely deserves that title.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
We want to say thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen today. And remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast or wherever you download the podcast. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate you for that in advance. And today's episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by Bet Online T. We've all heard the rumors about John Collins and and I've always talked about how he needed to change his game and he needed to step his game up. And then the Hawks finally decided to go ahead and pay the man. They paid him a nice, decent salary, a non-max contract, which was I was clamoring for him, to get. And I think that when you think about the report of Shams Charania is reporting that those talks have started to heat up. T, your thoughts when we came across this story?
Yeah, it's interesting because my first thought was not surprised. I've been sticking to my guns and saying that talks were never off the table. A trade for John Collins was never off the table. This has been 2.5 years in the making. Now, I will tell you this. My initial reaction was, wow, I did think it was sooner for two reasons. Number one, I had always kind of guesstimated that it was going to happen at the beginning of 2023, possibly at the trade deadline or even like the All-Star break. And then there's a little clause there per the CBA rules that anyone who basically a trade that's taking place during the regular season, really, it's like you have to be careful and kind of work it around their deadline, which is like week 17. So it'll be interesting to see when this actually is consummated. But my other thing was this, and I got this additional intel, and I said, wow, where they're going, because Shams Charania stated, if I'm correct, the Suns, and it was I believe Jay Crowder was in the conversation, and I said, although Jay Crowder's numbers are better in the perimeter space and in a couple of other categories, I'm not sure if that's enough to be a one-to-one trade. I was like, that has to be 3 or 4 teams. And the intel I received this morning is that, yes, indeed, there are 3, possibly 4 teams that are in discussion because of what each team needs.
And to be honest with you, when you think about like why we are having these conversations, why these teams are talking with each other, because if you're looking at the record, well, the Hawks are sitting at 9-6 right now. So, which is pretty solid. That's a good start. That's a good solid start. But it's just something missing with this team, right? When you think about, and I go back to when the Hawks were playing against the Boston Celtics, and Doris Burke was talking about her conversation that she had with John Collins and talking about, and the quote. I'm not sure this was an exact quote, but she said that John Collins said, they got me trying to shoot all these 3-pointers. And it makes sense because Nate McMillan was on with our guys, and then Randy, he talking about how he want those guys to shoot more threes. And I'm just like, I don't necessarily know that's a good idea when you're talking to John Collins. Trae Young, bro, keep shooting. You're going to figure it out at some point. But John, that's not his game. That's not his game. He's good as a setup shooter, but he's just gotten off to a really rough start shooting the 3. And I think that the way this team is constructed in 2022, you have to be able to hit that 3-point shot, because the way those guys, Dejounte and Trae, get to the paint, you got to be ready to hit it when they dish it out to you.
Yes. And also, Jarvis, we saw firsthand both in the Celtics game and also if we go back to the Raptors game a couple of weeks ago, their bigs were hitting threes. I mean, literally going out to the perimeter like it was nothing. And on some level, even a little bit of ball handling and bringing the ball up the court with the Raptors. So got to give them a world of credit in that regard. But I look at an Al Horford, who, the running joke is he's 357 years old. And somehow Al Horford has added a 3-point shot to his game. Yes. So that's the piece where
that's how he stayed in the league for that long. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. There it is. He found a way to reconfigure and reinvent his game. Indeed. And the thing about it is, you and I were excited, giving JC his credit for the first couple of games this season, but then it kind of went back to the median. And this is what we've seen pretty much his entire career with the Hawks.
Just disappears.
He had 3 great games. And it's like Mr. Double-Double is back. And then 4 or 5 games, like you said, it's the perfect word. He disappears, and he disappears at critical moments when Clint Capella needs a sidekick in the front court. Like, man, I need somebody to have my back with these steals, with these getting these balls off the glass,
rebounds, blocks,
rebounds, right? So when you look at all of those pieces, to me, it's the inconsistency and the fact that if you are asked to and tasked with being able to get deep shots and you're only shooting 17% from 3, you can't kind of blame the Hawks. And it's a conversation that you guys will hear in a few minutes that we even have with our special guest, because he covers the Bears and the Bulls. And one of the things we talked about is when you are in that second tier, Bulls, Hawks, Cavs, Hornets, and you're trying to catch
whoever you want to throw in there.
Right, exactly. Celtics, Heat,
Bucks and Celtics, elite.
And exactly, the Heat I would throw right up there with them, because they were one shot, they were one step away from the NBA Finals themselves last year. Right. So if you're trying to catch the elite, what's the panacea? It's going to be the 3-point shot and making it effective, because how many players shot a 3-pointer and made it for the Celtics? All 12. Everybody who touched the ball shot a 3 and made it Wednesday night. Just
45%.
45%. And 45%. Maybe.
That is an amazing clip.
4.5. Wait, 40, no, you're right. 46%.
46%, yeah.
55% from the field.
Oh, yeah. That is absolutely, amazing. And I think that, as the season goes along, you talk about the time period, and I think, as far as with him signing a new contract, I think there's some type of period that they have to wait in order for to trade him. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if whoever this leaked this is know exactly what they're doing, because I'm actually interested to see who those other teams are that get involved, because we all know that there are a lot of extra teams that are competing that people didn't think were going to be competing this year. When we talking about the Utah Jazz, they actually the Hawks felt them too. There's a second coming of Dirk Nowitzki coming around here and down here in Laura Marketing. So I think those some of the things that the Travis Lang, he's got to figure out how to get better. And I know people really like John Collins, and I kind of like to do myself. You know what I mean? So as a person, but when it comes to trying to scratch, fight, and claw to get into that top 4. Because it's there. It's the opportunity there. The opportunity is there.
That's right.
You have to take advantage of any opportunity to get better. And I think Travis Lang is going to do that.
And may I just say this, Jarvis?
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump on something you just said, and I'm going to take it and piggyback off of it.
Okay.
You said scratch, claw, and do everything you have to do to get in that top 4. You know what else is missing from the Hawks? Another guy who can scratch and claw and be a dog and be about that life, and make sure you understand, you want us to feel you, you're going to feel us too. I felt like when Dejounte Murray came in, he's that guy. I feel like Clint Capella is starting to get that edge back as well.
Yep, from a health standpoint. Yep.
There you go. And so, and and being that guy who's not afraid to bang on the inside, right? Who's your other dog? And that takes nothing away from Trae, because I love to call him a little scrappy. But what I'm talking about is your bigs being those guys who are enforcers. And we've said from the jump, ever since they lost Solo, we've been looking for somebody in the front court to really bring that edge. And again, we love John Collins as a player, but I'm interested to see if, in addition to somebody who can give him more shooting, they also get somebody who can give him a little edge.
Absolutely. And if you're trying to find somebody to give you some money and you're not trying to rob them, how about you go to betonline.net and put some money down? Wow. Did I just say that? I'm sorry, T. But, let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling with it. All right, because it is the fastest and the easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. If you're trying to figure out what's going on Mercedes-Benz on Sunday, we got an excellent conversation that you need to stick around for with our main man, Jason Goff, of the Full Go Podcast. We do a deep dive into that matchup. Now, if you're trying to find some information that's going to help you win some bread, go check out Bet Online because it continues to be the top online source for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. You got to check us out Monday through Friday for all your ATL sports needs. Go check out Bet Online for all your gambling and information. They have podcasts there waiting just for you. So head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. Bet Online is where the game starts.
So today, guys, you know that this is our day where we do keys to the game. This go round, it's the Falcons versus Bears, and it's the Cousin Jason edition of keys to the game. I am so excited.
My solo red cup hat.
Right? Yeah. I'm here.
So super thrilled because you guys don't know, but Jason Goff is just really, really super close to Jarvis and I, because when we started early in our careers, he was the one person who would always allow us to crack a mic. So we'll forever be grateful for that. And he just continues to do major things, got his own podcast, the Full Go Podcast. And if you guys have never listened, you need to check it out, because Full Go doesn't really tell the whole story of just how far Goff goes.
Yeah, we try to have a good time.
Yes. Our guy is in the shy right now, so of course we want to talk a little Bears, and I know you got lots to say, so I want to get right into it. And I'm going to hit you right out of the gate, Jason, with the real. Justin Fields, he's putting up insane numbers, we know, on the ground, but from your opinion, seeing that bird's eye view, how is he progressing as a passer?
Well, he still has some steps to take in his evolution. But the thing that we have been clamoring for, and they finally gotten to it over the last 4 or 5 weeks, was changing the launch angle, right? Not just having him sit in the pocket. And now you're seeing he's extending plays, and getting taste of success with his legs is important, because there was a lot of 3-and-outs early on in the season, a lot of struggling. And I think something flipped in that Washington Commanders game where all of a sudden Justin was like, hey, if you guys want me to be myself and actually be the pocket passer that you want me to be, I also have to be able to get out on some of these design runs, stay ahead of the chains. And also, he doesn't have a lot of man beaters out there on the perimeter. So, Darnell Mooney is one guy, but for 5, 6, 7 weeks, he was throwing to special teamers. They went out and got Chase Claypool. He's really not a man beater. He's a go up and get it guy. So there's some pieces that don't match around him, but as this running has started, you've also started to see defenses try to quarterback contain, do mush rushes, and all these other things. So it's allowing him to become a better passer by processing things. But he's still got to learn how to take the cheese and not go for every single big play possible. That's still getting kind of bridled out of him. But in the long run, we've seen drastic steps of incremental increases in his play. And I think now you're getting the chance against this Dean Pease defense. I think they're going to sit back and try to mix it up on him. So I think this is now the next step in the evolution, where it's like the evaluation process started because he has some offensive success running the ball. Now you're going to see the counterpunch from these NFL defenses and force him to stay in the pocket a little bit more.
Jay, you talk about how, how important it is to have those man beaters on the outside. Yeah. With that being said, do you feel like Ryan Poles did his job coming to this season? Now I've heard you had plenty of conversations on the Full Go Podcast, so that's why I'm asking you this, because I love to hear like what Ryan Poles should have done, or maybe what he should have done, shouldn't have done coming into the season.
Yeah, well, I didn't think. I mean, you put a 5th-round left tackle out there. You go out there and you let go of James Daniels and some other guys that were a part of that offensive line, and then the wide receiver issues. He started out this year with Byron Pringle and N'Keal Harry, Amir Smith-Marset. A lot of guys, Dante Pettis and Equinemius St. Brown have been guys who have had special teams roles on other teams. Now all of a sudden you want your quarterback to come to some kind of maturation point with Darnell Mooney and a bunch of dudes. So at the beginning, I was very critical. I mean, you got a guy like Drake London in Atlanta You got Sky Moore in Kansas City. It's not about going out and getting this big name wide receiver off the bat if you're Ryan Poles, because he had a lot of dead cap space and a lot of things to work out. But you had the draft, and in the draft of the evaluation period for your quarterback is the next couple of years. In that draft, you go out and get a nickel corner and a safety in your first 2 picks. So yeah, I was very critical, and I do think that this team. I think half that building came around on Justin Fields in this last 5 weeks or so, because there are a lot of questions on, this is, you guys know Ryan Pace now because he's a part of the Atlanta staff. This is one of the few decisions that Ryan Pace made, right? That has worked out, but it's not Ryan Poles' guy. So he's not the natural incumbent. We've seen it before. We saw it in Arizona where Josh Rosen had his 1 year, but they knew they were going right back into the draft to go get Kyler Murray or somebody of that stature. So, this last month or so, you've seen it. And then you have the Chase Claypool trade for a second-round pick, which I think is a steep price to pay for a guy like that because, mind you, the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to do the same thing with Kenny Pickett. So why would they get rid of somebody who they think could help him be evaluated, right? So these are the things that I question. And, the Roquan Smith standoff, I think it got – or it seemed personal, like it seemed like he was making a point instead of, doing what I think.
My team, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. It's his first standoff. So I think all these questions are warranted, especially in this market where it's like you have to prove that you are capable of putting a good team out there, and those questions will persist, because the excitement we have for Justin Fields is tempered by what's also happening on the defensive end. So Ryan Poles still got a lot of questions to answer.
Absolutely. And thank you all so very much from Steeler Nation for taking Chase Claypool. So very much. And yes, we will be using our second pick all day, every day. But listen, another thing we were thinking about, and this is kind of a situation that at least short term, Jason, the Falcons kind of found themselves in just in terms of kind of that injury bug hitting on offense, defense, and particularly hit with the run game. We lost Cordero Patterson for a couple of weeks. Thank goodness he's now back. But you guys, the Bears have also had a big blow in losing Khalil Herbert. So I'm thinking to myself, especially when you think about, like you said, Dean Pease scheming against the run, whether that's Justin Fields or whether that's actually a running back. Do you see David Montgomery as being able to at least pick up the pace and kind of keep Dean Pease defense honest?
It's a good question because Khalil Herbert has performed better if you look at the numbers this year as a runner. But David Montgomery has a special place in that building because of how physical he is. He's still a better short yardage runner than Khalil, and he's way better at blitz pickup, which is a quarterback, especially a young quarterback's best friend. And he's going to have a lot more reps. He's going to get his chance to shine against, a defense that, the Falcons defense is there's still some things left to be desired. So, David Montgomery is still, I think, better in the screen game than Khalil Herbert is. And don't get me wrong, missing out on Khalil Herbert, who's like 7th or 8th in the league in rushing right now, that's going to be a blow. I don't know that Tristan Ebner can do the things that Khalil Herbert is going to be has been able to do. So it's a lot more is going to be on David Montgomery. A lot more is going to be on Justin Fields. And I think this is good. I think this is going to be the passing game, right? I think this is everybody's seen what Justin Fields has been able to do running the football over the last 4 games. I'd be surprised if I saw the Falcons running around in a whole bunch of man and sending a whole bunch of blitzes. I expect whatever run game that you can muster up if you're the Bears to have to rue today, but this is going to be the game where we find out if Justin Fields is ready to win it from the perceived pocket that everybody wants him to win it from.
And you answered my second question. It was about Montgomery being possibly another target for Justin as far as a catcher out of the backfield. So he's going to have to. Everybody, all hands on deck with this offense because they've scored 30 points a game, 3 straight games, but they're the first team in NFL history to lose all 3 of those games as well. So they already know the pressure has been mounting because people still want to see these numbers and this output. But now with Khalil Herbert down, now with Tevin Jenkins getting ready to miss his 2nd straight game, there's a lot of little holes on this team and a lot of things are on Justin Fields' shoulders. So I would expect there to be some kind of regression this week, honestly, because of everything that's going into this game. But, Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney, you get a chance to find out more about them as well.
No doubt about it. I think that this game is probably going to be the quickest game in NFL history.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like
little Greg Maddox pitching game.
Right. People going to be walking out of this doggone stadium at 3:45 and Mercedes-Benz on Sunday. No doubt about it.
I wish I could be down there. In my time down there, I didn't get a chance to go to like one tailgate, like one Falcons game tailgate at all. Yeah, my man Daryl Killian, he threatened to take me out a couple of times, and then I went out with D, and he saw me, and he was like, "Listen, I'm gonna keep my city folk in the cut." I was enjoying myself too much, right? But I wish I was coming down there for this one though, man. I truly wish I had a chance to. I got the Bulls games to do this weekend, but man, I wish I could.
The doggone marijuana smell and the Hennessy gonna be rolling, bro. I'm telling you.
Enjoy safely.
Because this is Chicago South at the end of the day. So
it really is, right? You see. I mean, that's why they average down, because they got all them Bears players, they got all them Bears decision makers. Like, I thought they learned their lesson by allowing me to come down there and languish for 2 years, but then I guess it wasn't enough.
Jermaine and Fetty, I got a chance to holler at him before he came out. I was like, yeah, man, what you gonna do this year, man? You gonna try to start? I was like, dang, dog! Like, you can't take Caleb McGarry's spot, dog.
Nah, that's man. Hey, Jermaine Ifedi has he's got a special place in Bears lore, and it's not for the greatest of reasons. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm wishing the best for Jermaine.
I'm not surprised, sir.
Yeah, I'm wishing the best for Jermaine in all his future endeavors.
We know exactly what that means.
Yeah. He's a big man, so I don't want to see him in the street.
No doubt about it. But you mentioned about the safety and Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah.
Not getting acknowledging that you have issues up front. Our general manager seems to do the same thing too.
Right.
I understand the skill players. Drake London, great player. Kyle Pitts, good player. But damn, you still can't block to protect the quarterback, man. You can't sack the quarterback either. So I think there's so many similarities between these teams, and when you dive into it. But can you talk about, like, as far as what Brisker has done and being a playmaker back there, and Gordon as well, as they come into their rookie years?
So Kyler Gordon had a slow start. Training camp, he was hurt. Got a chance to get into, I believe, the second to last preseason game. And the season so far has been up and down. He's made some plays, right? But that nickel cornerback position, like, that's the toughest corner I think there is to play these days, because of what they're doing in terms of putting guys like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Like, people see that Cooper Kupp success. They see that slot. And I remember the first time I saw a premier wide receiver at the end of his career get thrown there was Larry Fitzgerald. And then you saw a lot of big receivers get put in that position. So in this defense, the 4-3 that they run, that we were, used to seeing with the Lovie Smith era, and two deep safeties and that three technique. So that nickel back, that three technique, and that weak side linebacker, the most important positions on the field for this defense. And if you look at the success that they had in Indianapolis with it, it was because, you got Kenny Moore at that cornerback position. You had Shaq Leonard at that weak side linebacker position. So they tried to fill it early on with Kyler Gordon, and there's been some, he's had some good plays. He's had some tough ones. He's not scared to be physical, which is always a good thing. But he's had his rookie lumps, and Jaquan Brisker is the same, right? Like, Jaquan has come up in run protection and run filling as well as you can expect a rookie too, but he has also lost the edge. He's also lost contain and allowed for a couple of big plays. I think he's been better in pass defense than I expected him to be coming out of Penn State. But this is the dude who, he's got that Bob Sanders kind of it to him. If he can stay healthy and affect the game the way that I think he'll be able to after he gets that, like, mental Rolodex down of seeing things for the first time. Like, I think he's put Eddie Jackson also in a position to make more plays. You've seen him make more plays on the ball than he had in the previous 30 some odd games. He burst onto the scene, fresh out of Alabama for the Bears, and was making every play imaginable. And people were talking about consecutive Pro Bowls in his future. And then there was a good 30 games where he wasn't that playmaker. I think Jaquan Brisker has not just put that professional, friendly competition in the room, but also allowed him to free up and do some things, because he's not an in the box physical safety. So the addition of these two dudes in the secondary has been fun to watch because it's freed up some things, but it's also made you understand how hard it is to play in the secondary as a young player. Like, and not everybody's Sauce Gardner, not everybody's AJ Terrell, where you just jump in and you go, okay, that dude's going to be there for a decade and you don't have to worry about it. Like, these guys have had their ups and downs, and especially on a defense that's not getting pressure with the front four. Then Allen Williams not going to do a lot of blitzing, so you cover him back there for a long time. So they're getting baptism by fire, and I think it's going to continue on Sunday.
Yeah. So, Jarvis, I'm going to defer to you if you have another football question, because I can't have Jay on here without asking him something about ball. So,
come on now. You don't have to ask. You can go ahead and jump right in on that one.
Listen, Jay, the last year I've had the pleasure of being the in-game analyst for the Hawks, so I watched them very still.
And I'm proud of you. Proud of you. I see you doing your thing.
Some work with them low-key, and then I'll be covering the Skyhawks this season. So we're kind of watching everything that's going on in the Eastern Conference and kind of watching to see who's at the top, the cream of the crop. Listen, DeMar DeRozan gave us the blues last year, and I'm sure we're gonna get the business again this year. But tell us before you wrap up, in terms of where you see the Bulls in terms of the pecking order, because the Eastern Conference, man, it just seems to get deeper and more competitive by the year.
Yeah, no, it's tough. East is definitely back in a major way. Even the teams that you think you can sleep on have these young players who don't care. Guys, you got that backcourt crew in Detroit with Cade Cunningham. I know he's got the shin right now, but him and Jaden Ivey they're gonna give people the blues for years. And the
Hawks know about Cade Cunningham.
Yeah. And I mean, you can look at the Pacers too. Like, they got a guy in Indiana who I wanted the Bulls to draft when I thought they were going to get the 6th pick. They moved up, got the 4th pick in the lottery, and drafted Patrick Williams. But Tyrese Halliburton was my favorite prospect after that top 3, and you see him doing what he's doing in Indiana. So right now, if you're, teams like the Raptors and the Hawks and the Bulls, the Knicks, that second tier of Eastern Conference team, you can't be messing around. And the Bulls have messed around with some very important games over the last couple of days, with the Denver Nuggets coming in, and then everybody on the team saying that the effort wasn't what it's supposed to be after a 3-day rest. And then you come out against the Pelicans with no Zion Williamson and you give the same effort. Like, it's mounting right now in terms of pressure. And DeMar DeRozan is getting looked at as the guy who, you got to move the rock. Like, it's cool to do what you did last year, but the league has kind of counterbalanced that and defending the Bulls different. And Zach is coming off of, that knee surgery, and Lonzo's still out. So this team's got a bunch of different storylines right now that they're trying to battle. But in the end, injuries can't change the way you play and the way you show up. Like, I understand if you're not as talented. I don't understand if you don't have as much effort. And especially if you say it, like, you can only press that button a couple of times in a year before everybody started looking around and jobs started getting lost. So they're in a wild spot right now to have to dig themselves out of it and wait for Lonzo Ball to come as the savior, I guess, when he comes off of his injury. But yeah, man, the East ain't waiting on you. So whatever you did last year, it really doesn't matter. I mean, the Hawks fans know it too. Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
All that offseason is celebrating Dejounte Murray. You got to win games. Games.
That's why you're
talking about John Collins.
Collins and Trae talks. Yeah.
Which is good because, to your point, there's no resting on your laurels when you're in that second tier, because you're fighting that uphill battle, if for no other reason, to get yourself in that top 4 so that you can at least host the opening round series to maybe get yourself into the second round. But listen, because we know we could talk ball all day, every day, we're bringing you back a little bit later.
Let me know. So you already know. I'm down for whatever.
Man, just not enough time in the day. But listen, guys, as we tell you all the time, check out ATL Day Ones. That should be your first stop, no question. But we want you to check out a couple other things too. Don't forget to check out the Full Go podcast, because it's going to give you some information, some knowledge, make you scratch your head sometimes, make you laugh and fall out of your chair, but it's a good time. So check it out.
I'm telling my mama not to listen.
Not Super Bowl 4, good people. That's all.
Right, exactly.
After you check out ATL Day Ones, you check out Full Go. The next stop, and it is Locked On Sports Today, because it's the biggest stories. We got one brewing right now. Will JC suit up tomorrow in Atlanta? Will he not? That might be something that they're going to talk about. hey, listen, they also give instant reaction to any and everything that's going on. And, you know, we do For the Culture here. Their version of it is Take of the Day. So again, don't forget to check out Locked On Sports today.
Locked On Sports Atlanta family, listen in. We are almost at 5,000 subscribers. We're at 4,900, over 4,900 subscribers. So guess what? We are pushing towards 5,000. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, if you have not subscribed to this show, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And you can download us on the audio side as well, wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. We want everybody and their mama and them. Yeah, I said that. Everybody and their mama and them to know about ATL Day Ones. Go and check us out right now. And T, this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, and the culture. Sometimes whatever we want to talk about, just how we get down on this show today is no different. And I talked about it at the top of the show as far as like when you have bad things go down, you know, a lot of times in life as human beings, as believers, we try to find a positive T. And I think that this is the perfect one. And I'm going to just start out by saying Mike Hollins, running back for Virginia, is a hero.
Yes.
Because he was on the bus when the young man started shooting at the bus when they're coming back from a field trip, obviously the shooting on Virginia's campus. And he was able to yell at the bus driver and say, hey, stop the bus. He got off the bus. There were two other students that followed him, and he told them to take off running and go a different way. Mm-hmm. But he realized and said to himself, like, hey, I got to go back. I'm back. And he ended up saying, like, you guys have to get off the bus. And he ended up engaging the shooter, T. And he said all he remembers is the guy lifting up the gun, and he turned around and ran. And he lifted his shirt up, and he said all he felt was something hot, and that's all he remembers. So, and thankfully, he's okay, and everything's all right. And I think that for a young man to not only save a couple people, you know, and telling them to get off the bus, but the man went back to that is absolutely. I don't even have any words for that, because a lot of people say I would have done the same thing, but yeah, it hit different when you actually do it though.
Agreed. And his mom said she wasn't surprised because this is who he is. And she just has been encouraging him because, of course, he's had the questions of why me? Why did I survive? And so not to have survivor's remorse, she's just been encouraging him to say, hey, you're back. You're here for a reason. And like you said, we are believers. So we believe that he's definitely here to bring something positive to the table. And I'm just so excited for him that he'll have the opportunity, like she said, because he said, hey, I don't know how I'm going to live without my friend Deshaun Perry. That was one of his best friends who was one of the unfortunate victims who passed away, who died. But his mom said, it's because you're going to live for him. And I so love that message that she gave him. So again, Mike Hollins, you are our hero.
Yes, indeed.
Your heroic efforts, and definitely everybody around him, keep rallying around him, because it's going to be still a long road to recovery, and he's going to need all the thoughts and all the prayers in the world. So we are so excited that we're at least able to pull something positive out of an otherwise very dark story. Now, what we hope to also have positives about Monday, a Falcons win and a Hawks win. That's what we want to talk about. And of course, if there are any trades that go down with the Hawks, we are going to give you all our reaction come Monday. But you guys be safe, because it is cold like it's in Chicago up in this piece. Be safe. Watch yourself until we see you Monday.
Y'all come back now, you hear?